Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is the Question Guy podcast. And I'm here with Yannick Cruden, who is originally from the Netherlands, but now you're in Amsterdam, I think, right?
Yeah. Amsterdam is the capital city of the Netherlands, so
Okay,
born and raised over there.
cool. So you right now, it's late at night for you, I imagine. So I don't want to keep you up late, and that's your thing. But I I understand that you're now a dad. You're
Exactly.
recently a dad, right? And you have
Yeah, a daughter,
a
5 months
daughter.
old now.
She's 5 months.
Yeah, she's 5 months old, born in April.
Wow.
But it's amazing. It's the best feeling ever. I can't even explain it. It's crazy.
Well, first, congratulations. And so for you and your girlfriend, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
always due. Being a dad is, I'm a dad. I'm a dad twice over, actually. And I've got a young girl. She's 12. And it's just a wonderful experience. Now, it's going to have some challenges, but
It
it's
definitely has some challenges.
it's going to be a
Good.
wonderful experience overall. But we're not here specifically to talk about your daughter. We're here to talk about you. And so you've got some good things going on. I read some of your profile content, and you very much have an entrepreneurial spirit about you. You've never done things a very typical way. Go to college. You've been to college, but the 4-year degree, get a job, get school debt, all those things that we typically do here in America. That's not your style, and so I appreciate that. What did you get started with your entrepreneurial thinking? Like how young were you?
Yeah, I don't know the exact age, but I know that I've always been thinking about doing things differently. I never wanted to do like the normal thing, get a job, 9 to 5. With every birthday, when I got some money, I always started like counting the money, putting some on the side, and saving money for later. So from a young age, so that was always different than other people back at that age. And then I started to doing some door-to-door sales, started to doing some multi-level marketing. I got into it when I was 16 years old,
Hmm.
and learned a lot from it. And throughout school, I always knew that I don't want to go to a normal job, 9 to 5. I want to be my own boss, do my own thing, and get beyond like the normal salary. I always wanted to think bigger than just the people around me somehow. So that's my journey, like that I've been trying to accomplish.
And so far, you're doing a really good job. At least I imagine, because you've done a couple of things. And so again, I'm remembering what you've put on your profile and what you've just told me. Everything that you talk about really requires an element of risk taking, of being willing to step out into an unknown situation and not really knowing what the outcome or result is going to be. Doesn't that scare? I'm curious, really. Doesn't that
Yeah,
scare you sometimes?
it definitely does. It is scary. Like I recently even thought with my daughter coming, like should I transition to like a 9 to 5, be safe, having a stable income,
Mhm.
because I have a daughter now, I have a house, things like that. And it's scary. It gets you thinking. But I have amazing people around me that support me throughout everything I'm doing. And if I would do that, all the things that I've done in the last, what is it, 10 years would have
Mhm.
been in vain,
Mm.
because you build it up, like you learn as you go, you learn as you're doing. And if I just go like, okay, I will quit this and go to a normal job, and probably I won't even be happy doing that
Well,
because I always want to do more.
I'm
So it's
thinking
definitely
you may not
scary.
even know how to do it
Maybe
because
that's it.
it's a different mindset.
Yeah, exactly. I always want to, if I'm hearing people that are in a normal job, I always want to help them. Like maybe you can do this, or maybe you can do that, like things like that, and trying to help them think outside the box and go beyond.
Well, then let's talk about your evolution. So you evolved from a young man, and then I think at some point you did come out to the States and
Yeah,
go to school, and then at some point you were introduced to or found the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I think both of those elements in your life kind of helped you either transition further or push you in new ways, having new thoughts? Can we talk about your I guess it was college, right? Your college
Yeah,
experience?
exactly. So my English was always really bad. At high school, my grades were like not sufficient, especially not in English.
Okay.
So I always wanted to learn English because it's such a yeah, an international language. Of course, it's the number one language, I think, with Spanish or Chinese. And I wanted to learn it, but watching movies, things like that, it didn't help me. So I was like, I don't want to curse, but like, F it, let's study an international study and where I have to speak English every day and read books in English. So I applied for the International Business and Management Studies here in the Netherlands. And I had to speak English every day and doing my exams in English, things like that. And at first it was hard,
Mhm.
especially doing like group projects and things like that, people that would speak really good English. And then I was there. But it evolved, and then in the third year, we had to go on an exchange program to another country. Could be Belgium, which is close, but also could be like Canada, US, Shanghai, or China, Shanghai, Singapore, things like that.
Mhm.
And I was like, I want to go to the States. That was my number one goal. And if I have a goal, like I love the phrase, the quote, like um, if the plan doesn't work, never change, or if the plan doesn't work, never change the goal, but change the plan, how to get to the goal. So I was like, okay, probably my grades would not be that high because it's a ranking. Let's do some honors program. Let's do an excellence program to get more credits. And then in the third year, I was one of the highest ranked persons in the year. So I could go to Long Beach in California and study there for one semester.
Well,
So
good for
that was
you.
amazing.
So
Yeah,
Long
yeah,
Beach, huh?
yeah, it was a crazy experience, and especially like one of the best experiences of my life, which was amazing. And so I got there, and I remember I was in my dorm room, and everybody back home was already asleep because there's like a 6 hour time difference, or maybe a little bit more, but around 6 hour time difference, and everybody was asleep, and all my friends went out, and I didn't want to go out, so I was in my dorm room, and as a lot of people probably would have done, I went to YouTube. I typed in how to make money online, and I watched a bunch of videos, and I came across this one video. I can remember, like, it's from Jay Rich. He was sitting on his rooftop in next to the swimming pool, and he was talking about how he got money. He started with eBay, but one of his friends recommended the book Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Okay.
and that changed his life. And he talked about the concept drop shipping, which was pretty new at the time. It was like 2018. And I was like, okay, this sounds super interesting. I want to do drop shipping and I want to read that book. And I don't like reading at all. So I went to Amazon, purchased the book, and it was delivered the next day. And I started reading. And from that point, I've read multiple books because I don't know, I like reading somehow. And I think it's because it's personal development, things like
Mhm.
that. But from that point onward, I started focusing more on drop shipping, like e-commerce and stuff like that.
So talk to me about the Rich Dad Poor
That's the book.
Dad book. And so how did that help you change your thinking about you? Because you talked, it's a little bit about personal development. It's a little bit about taking control of your life. And it's a little bit about, how to think differently about the very subject you're talking about. How do you think differently about money, right? So can you talk to any of those? How did it change your
Yeah, sure.
thinking?
Sure. I in my university I chose international finance, so I was already aware with like assets, liabilities, things like that. But the way he explained it in this book, it was so simple. Income, expensive. Most people buy liabilities. You could better buy assets, which produce money.
Mhm.
And the way he teaches his lessons is like he has rich dad and he's poor dad, and his poor dad is like he's real dad, but he's not necessarily poor. He's just like I think he was a teacher at the university, and the rich dad was the dad of his friend, like who was an entrepreneur. And all these lessons in this book, like about thinking differently, how to approach and how to make money, was really really well taught,
Mhm.
and it's really easy to understand, which was great. And from that point onwards, like the mindset changes. I want to get assets instead of liabilities. And yeah, I recommend it to a lot of friends already. Even my girlfriend read it. I recommend to everybody that wants to start reading. Everybody loves it so far, so that's amazing.
I think one of the lessons, and it may not be specifically in the book now because I forget, but and I can never pronounce the author's name. But he made a YouTube video or several YouTube videos about uh one of the mindsets of thinking about money. And he said it's like the game Monopoly. And Monopoly is a board game where you go around the square and you collect real estate. The point is to buy real estate and build on that. So talking about, buying assets and investing in assets. And so you buy real estate at the small level, one house, two house, three house, four house, and you rent them. You rent out the real estate. So you're making money on top of your investment. And then when you have enough money, you invest in the bigger product, which is the hotel. And so there's always an income stream because you're investing in something that's going to pay you back. And so most people just, I own a house. You live in a house. Buy the house and say, well, that's going to be an asset, but it's not making you money. It's
That's the
it's
thing.
it's it's just you just sit in it and hopefully it doesn't fall apart in a storm. Because I'm going through a storm right now. But be that as it may, if I were to take the opportunity and say, okay, well, do I have an extra room in my house and could I fix it up and furnish it and then rent it out, right? Maybe I could rent it out to a college student or whomever. And that's a different way of thinking. And I know some people who've done that actually have bought a house that has so many rooms and have rented out those rooms to their friends. And so he's actually, with the collective rent, is paying the mortgage on the house. And so that's one of the ways of looking at money differently.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. Like he always had, I think it's a big discussion because he says in the book that owning a house, a lot of people think that's an asset, but he says it's a liability because there's no cash flow coming from
Right.
it. So I think that was a great thing to think about, like owning a house. Is that really an asset? Because a lot of people think it's an asset, or is it a liability? Because you have expenses, but there's no income coming in.
Not from the
Um,
house itself. Yeah.
not from the house, exactly. And with the game Monopoly, I think it's an amazing game because it also teaches you about cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think cash flow is a really undervalued topic. A lot of businesses have problems with cash flow, and it's really hard to maintain a great cash flow, especially when you're starting out. So, in my opinion, a lot of courses out there and a lot of books should be about cash flow because there's not um, a lot around, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking for it, but I haven't found any. And cash flow is really, really hard, and a lot of people don't understand it, especially when you're starting out, as I said. And coming back to what you're saying in the book, I don't remember if it was in the book or if he said it somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't
But
remember either. Yeah.
one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki mentioned as well is always pay yourself first. And that was the thing that I started doing from that point on. What he's basically saying, if you get, for example, your income, your salary, a lot of people pay their mortgage, they pay their groceries, and then what's left, they put it on a savings account. But
Mm-hmm.
why? You've been working for your money. You should pay yourself first, like let's say 20% or 30%. Pay yourself first, then pay taxes, then pay your mortgage, etc., groceries. And if you don't have enough money left, you should increase your income or your salary instead of like just saving less because you should be proud of what you have worked for and take the money out of it for yourself. I think that was a great concept. I started doing it already like 4 years, 5 years, and it really helped me saving a lot of money. So I definitely recommend doing it as well.
And you're young yet. You're under 30, right? So you got
Yeah,
yeah, so you got and it's good to learn these things now because there's the idea of compound interest. The more you put away, the more you're going to have later on. And so that's a good practice, good habit to have, especially at your age. And the fact that you said you've been doing it for 4 years. So even at a younger age, 22, 23, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it
But
was normal, but a lot of friends like have had, sorry to interrupt. A lot
no,
of
you're
friends
good.
have had problems with saving money, and I was like always like, oh, it's normal, but probably not. A lot of people have issues with it. So I've made some videos for friends, posted it on my stories on Instagram, and I've had a lot of positive comments on that. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And as you said, compound effect. I just have a book here, The Compound Effect.
Uh-huh.
It's a great book. You should read it as well. It's an amazing book.
Well, I'm going to put those Amazon. Are you an affiliate partner with Amazon? I'll put your link. Um,
I'm not, but I should.
but I'll put those. I'll put the book links to Amazon in the description. That's great. But moving forward, so you are now, you've done a lot of things and you've learned a lot of lessons, and now you're. I think you're trying to get into digital marketing. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I've been in digital marketing for a while, doing e-commerce, running my own ads, helping business to run ads.
Mhm.
But I'm now transitioning to a little bit like a more specific form of digital marketing. I call it like out of the box marketing because a lot of things that I go into is not very often talked about. Not a lot of people speak about those things, but it can really, really boost your business. So it's about brand positioning, offers. A lot of people underestimate the power of offers, and creating a sales funnels with follow-ups, upsells, and things like that. So that's why what I'm focusing on currently.
Um, because it's always good to give some free stuff away in order to have people connect with you and like you and trust you. Can you give us something free for the audience to kind of hang on and say, hey, I want to know more, so they want to connect with you?
Yeah, sure. I can give you an example. I recently had a consultation call with a guy. He was working for a company that was renting out big studios. Remember the master classes where you have like 10,000 little screens behind you, the Zoom screens, people tuning in.
Mhm.
He was working for one of the studios, renting out those things. I think to rent it, this was like, I don't remember correctly, like $15,000 for one of the packages, and I was helping him how he could sell more of it. So the first thing that what we were doing was who is your ideal customer, because that's so important. Like who is your ideal customer? What are their how much money do they have? Where do they live? What are their interests? But definitely, what are their struggles? What are their barriers? And from there, if you know that, you can start creating your product around that, because like the things that sell are the things that people value, and to make things easier for people is what they value, because it makes their life easier. So I would definitely start focusing on who's your ideal customer, what are their barriers, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, things like that. And from there on, we looked at what can we offer. So we made a list. We just brainstormed. We made a list, like we can offer them coaching on how to do a masterclass, a webinar. We could do some what to avoid tips. We can do like things like that, and we just listed it out, and we did some crazy things as well, like picking them up from the airport, bringing them to a hotel, giving them food, stuff like that. Like write everything down and then start like crossing out the things that is literally impossible to do and things that might be interesting. And from there on, you can start giving extra value, because I literally believe like being the cheapest is never it can be a good thing, but only one person can be the cheapest, and there's no benefit in being the second cheapest person on the market, because the cheapest person has won, and it will be a race to the bottom. So you can rather be like a little bit more expensive than your competitors, but increase the value, like as I said, giving bonuses, extras. So we thought about what could we provide to do extra. So of course it was renting out the studio space, but you could also give a masterclass, a training. 3 months in advance, you could help them plan everything. What are the 10 mistakes to avoid? How could you close your webinar to get more sales? Like overcreation, those kind of things. You can offer that as well, because it's like an addition to what they want. and from there on you can sell even more. And and then you have the sales process. Like at start you do give something for free, for example, and then you can upsell them. And then maybe later, after a year, hey, if you want to do another webinar, or you can do this for this price at the discounted price, something like that. But always keep the buying loop open. Is that some value?
No, that sounds great. And so what I'm thinking about is, so you mentioned that you're on different social media platforms. I know you're on LinkedIn. So where else are you that you're providing this value to your audience?
Yeah, yeah. I'm mostly on LinkedIn currently. I'm not on YouTube. I have my personal social media, Instagram, for example. It was just for some friends, but I'm not really active posting like value in there. So currently it's only LinkedIn, but I want to expand that later on as well. But for now, it's only LinkedIn.
Okay. And so I'm going to put your LinkedIn profile in the description as well. You've mentioned a lot of value items, and so you're thinking a lot. You're providing good service. You're providing excellent value. Sounds like you should write a book. Sounds like at the very least, write yourself a small ebook that has these small components of it, like you said, these free things, so that this is this is that little hook to say, hey, this is what I know about, this is how I can help you, this is the value that I give. Have them read it, have them give that as part of whatever you do, that free class, that free workshop, and then come back and say, you know if you really want to go further, you know XYZ, and let's make it happen, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Practice what you preach. I should definitely do that. Been really busy at the moment with my daughter, with posting value on LinkedIn. But as you said, that's something that I really want to do as well. Just looking for what are the things that people really want to learn about, and giving them value on that. So I totally agree with you.
And then after that, what I'm being told, and of course I'm a bit older than you are, is to be seen as the subject matter expert or having those credentials, is go ahead and write yourself, a book on the topic, and go ahead and get it published, like a book that people would want to buy. And so that may be not immediately, like you said, but at least something that you can work on a little bit each week. And then, because if you don't do it a little bit at a time, it's just like eating that sandwich, or that, we have oh, I lost my train of thought. We have this old story that you only eat an elephant, and I don't know why you would, but it's one bite at a time. And so take that little nibble, and in a year or two, you're going to have yourself that credential of a book, and you could then be a published author. But you've got so much going for you. This has been fantastic. I love this conversation, but I'm going to have to cut it short. We did great. Anything
Ah,
else that you want to tell your audience, our audience, that why they need to contact you today?
because you never know what you're missing out. Contact me. I would love to hear your story, hear about your business, take a look at your landing page, things like that. I will definitely give you some free value, shoot a Loom video, help you out. So connect me via LinkedIn. He will post it in the below. Like, subscribe, of course, to the podcast, and it's been a pleasure. And I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, absolutely welcome. And this has been another episode of the Question Guy podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.